All right. We are in this video, we are going to do a video on taking profits. Specifically, the idea that you can't go broke taking profits. You see a lot on these kind of social media platforms, the saying that $100 a day keeps a job away, or like you can never go broke taking profits. I'm going to show you in this video exactly why the opposite is true. You can, in fact, and a lot of people do, in fact, go broke taking profits on their trade. So, going back to the EV formula that we always discuss, average win rate times average win, minus average loss rates times average loss rate. Let's use a thought experiment type of hypothetical system, right? Where the trader is winning 60% of the time with I don't know, let's just say for simplicity purposes, a risk reward ratio of 1-to-1. So EV, we're not even going to worry about frequency. That's not important at this point. EV is positive, right? 60% times 1 minus 40% times 1 is positive EV. Now, imagine that this trader, right, starts getting antsy and itchy to take profits, right? And instead, every time he wins a trade, he doesn't win $1, right? He wins only 50 cents. So now his EV is negative, right? So with proper execution, his strategy is positive. But due to various type of, execution errors and execution flaws in how he actually enters and exits his trade, he can actually lose money with a profitable system, not because the system is in fact flawed, because his kind of execution of the trade is wrong, right? So the question here is, why is someone taking profits at 50 cents, trying to make 50 cents when in theoretically he could make $1, right? This goes back to what I mentioned earlier, right? It ties into kind of the psychological pitfalls of trading, and that it's only in your human nature to want to take profits quickly and here and there, right? Guaranteed profits is very comfortable to your psyche, right? And there's this concept called loss aversion, where they've done studies where where they analyzed the emotional impact of losing money compared to winning money. So the emotional impact of losing $1 equals the emotional impact, whether it's like happiness if you're winning or sadness if you're losing, right? So the emotional impact of losing $1 is the equivalent of winning $2, in that humans find it much more painful and much more emotionally uh, like scarring to lose money versus winning money, right? So people just rather not lose money as opposed to winning money. So that is why people tend to book profits very quickly, because they don't want that to slip away, right? Even though the strategy theoretically can make you $1, it's, you just want to grab the money and get out as soon as possible, right? But the problem with that is, if you don't maximize your winners, you will not be able to pay for your losers, right? And that's why and this is amateurs beginner traders go broke booking profits all the time, right? Because it's comfortable to trade a high win rate strategy, right? This is like discuss this in my first videos, right? The noob strategy is where he's winning 99, 90 to 95% of the time, and he's winning like $1, right? But when he's losing like 200 bucks. So the EV is negative, right? I mean, I still encounter this issue even today, right? So, an example from a recent example, right? Um, I was in this trade, pretty solid trade. I would consider it's a A quality setup, right? Where I just I didn't even get filled, like I didn't even get in the full size that I wanted to. But I ended up closing that trade for I think like $45,000. And on the surface, it looks like, wow, you just made 40 grand in like 1 hour, 2 hours. But the problem is, if I executed that trade properly, I could have made 60, 70 grand, right? And so I was the guy that was booking 50 cents when I could have made $1, right? The problem is, if I keep doing that, I won't be able to pay for those times when I actually lose, money, right? So everyone, is kind of falls victim to that, even kind of the advanced traders. And this especially happens. This problem especially manifests when someone sizes up the position too quickly and too fast. And you don't want to scale from trying to make $100 to like 10 grand overnight, right? You want to slowly progress your way from like trying to make 100 to $500 to like 1,000 to like 3,000 to like 10 grand, right? And this whole process may take like, I don't know, like 1 year, right? The reason you want to slowly, progressively overload your sizing is because if you jump too fast from trying to make $100 to 10 grand, this like when you see that P&L number, when you see that P&L number on your screen and you're up, let's say like unrealized gains of like 2 grand, right? You're not psychologically kind of used to that number, right? Because you were like just 1 day ago, you were trading for $100. So you see this number, you're like, damn, 2 grand. I can just book that right now. And so you're like, all right, I'm gonna take this 2 grand. But the problem is, if you followed the system, you would be making 10 grand. You know what I'm saying? If you were emotionally acclimated to this trading this type of size, you'd be waiting longer in order to try to make 10 grand. And the problem is, if you book 2 grand, this might not be enough to cover your losses, and so you will lose money in the long run, right? So always scale up your trading, your size slowly, incrementally over time, so you can get adjusted to time trading with larger size. So that you are not kind of emotionally impressed. You're not on this like high when you see a profit and loss. You see that your profit is like 2 grand, right? Because the money to be made, I think Jesse Livermore, one of the greatest kind of traders of like in history, is like the money is made in the waiting and the sitting, right? When you're in a good trade, you want to just sit there and not do anything and wait for the trade to play out. But if you're just antsy and you're just thinking about how much money you're already up, that kind of incentivizes you to get out too quickly, right? Uh, and like I said, this is a problem that even kind of advanced and intermediate traders still fall victim to. Right? I personally still fall victim to this, and so that is why, to sum up the video, you very well can, and people often do, go broke taking profits because they're taking profits way too early, and therefore cannot pay for their losses when the losses do come around. Right? Once you get a positive EV system going, incrementally and gradually scale up your trading so that you do not fall victim to the loss aversion kind of psychological pitfall that people fall into, right? When 10 grand is up for the grabbing, you do not settle for 2 grand, right? You settle according to the rules of your system. And if your system says to stay in and try to book 10 grand, you stay in and try to book 10 grand, even at the risk of turning that winner into a loser, right? Because if you have a positive EV system, you can be up some, but you still might end up losing the trade because you held too long. But if your system, if your trading strategy's rules dictates that you hold for a 10 grand win, then you have to follow the rules, right?